Okay, this is The Sand Child by Taher Ben Jelloun. We're in chapter 4, reading along before we go to Morocco. Uh, Chapter 4, The Saturday Gate. Friends, today we must move on. We are going to the third stage, the seventh day of the week. A market square where grains are sold and peasants and animals sleep together, a place of exchange between town and country, surrounded by low walls and irrigated by a natural spring. I do not know what it holds in store for us as we pass through the gate. We see sacks of wheat. I sold a donkey here once. The gate pierces the wall, a sort of ruin that leads nowhere, but we owe it a visit, partly out of superstition, partly out of a spirit of rigor. In principle, this gate corresponds to the stage of adolescence, a very obscure period. We have lost sight of our character's steps. He was taken in hand by his father and must have undergone difficult ordeals. It is a disturbed time, a time when the body is perplexed, hesitates, and gropes its way ahead. It is a period that we must imagine, a blank space left for the reader to fill as he will. I think, says one reader, it was the time when Ahmed, aware of what was happening to him, underwent a profound crisis. I imagine him torn between the development of his body and his father's determination to make him wholly and entirely a man. I don't believe, says another, there was a crisis. I think Ahmed developed according to his father's strategy. He had no doubts. He willingly took up the challenge. An intelligent child, he soon understood that this society of ours, prefers men to women. No, what happened is simple enough. I know I'm the oldest here, perhaps even older than our revered master and storyteller, to whom I pay my heartfelt respects. I know this story. I don't need to guess or provide explanations. Ahmed never left his father. He was educated outside the house, well away from the women. At school he learned to fight and fought often. His father encouraged him, but when he felt the boy's muscles he found they were soft. Ahmed mistreated his sisters, who feared him. It was all quite normal. He was being prepared for the succession. In due course he became a man. In any case, he was taught to behave like a man, at home as well as outside. But that doesn't take our story anywhere. I will tell you the truth, if you allow me. It's the story of a madman. If Ahmed had really existed, he would have ended up in a madhouse. Since you say you have proof in this book you're hiding, why not hand it over? Then we'll see whether this story corresponds to the truth, or whether you've made it all up just to waste our time and try our patience. The wind of rebellion blows among you. You are free to believe or not to believe this story. All I wanted was to kindle your interest. As to what follows, I shall read it. It is impressive. I open the book. I turn the blank pages. Listen. There is a truth that cannot be told, not even suggested. It can only be experienced in absolute solitude, surrounded by a natural secrecy that is maintained effortlessly. Pain, too, comes from the depths that cannot be revealed. We do not know whether these depths are in ourselves or elsewhere, in a graveyard, in a scarcely dug grave, only recently inhabited by withered flesh. This truth, which is banal enough, unravels time and the face, holds up a mirror to me in which I cannot see myself without being overcome by a profound sadness. Not one of those youthful fits of melancholy that cradle our pride and wrap us in nostalgia, but a sadness that undermines one's whole being. The mirror has become the root through which my body reaches that state, in which it is crushed into the ground, digs a temporary grave, and allows itself to be drawn by the living roots that swarm beneath the stones. It is flattened beneath the weight of that immense sadness which few people have the privilege of knowing. So I avoid mirrors. I haven't always been brave enough to betray myself, that is to say, to descend the steps that my destiny has traced out for me, which are leading me to the depths of myself in the unbearable intimacy of a truth that cannot be spoken. There, Only the wriggling worms keep me company. I am often tempted to organize my small inner cemetery in such a way that the sleeping shadows rise and perform a dance around an erect male member that is mine. I am both the shadow and the light that gives the shadow birth. I am both the master of the house, a ruin above the common grave, and its guest, the hand laid on the damp soil and the stone buried beneath a tuft of grass. I am both the gaze that sees itself and the mirror. Does my voice come from me, or is it that of the Father who breathed it into me mouth to mouth as I slept? Sometimes I recognize it. Sometimes I reject it. It is my finest, subtlest mask. The voice, deep, gravelly, does its work, intimidates me, and throws me into the crowd to show that I am worthy of it, that I bear it with confidence, naturally, without excessive pride, without anger or madness. I must master its rhythm, its timbre, its melody, and keep it in the warmth of my entrails. The truth goes into exile. I have only to speak, and the truth moves away, is forgotten. I become its gravedigger and disinterrer. That is how the voice is. It does not betray me. And even if I wanted to betray it, reveal it in all its nakedness, I could not. I would not know how. I know its requirements. Avoid anger, avoid tenderness, do not shout, do not whisper. In short, be ordinary. I am ordinary, and I trample underfoot the image that is unbearable to me. God, how heavy that truth weighs upon me. I am the architect and the house, the tree and the sap, a man and a woman. No detail must disturb the harshness of my task, whether from the outside or from the bottom of the grave, not even blood. One morning, blood stained my sheets, imprints of a fact about my body, rolled up in white linen, to shake the tiny certainty or give the lie to the architecture of appearance. On my thighs, a thin trickle of blood, an irregular pale red line. Perhaps it was not blood, but a swollen vein, a varicose vein, colored by the night, a vision to disappear in the morning. Yet the sheet was damp, as if it had been, as if I had been trembling. It was certainly blood. The resistance of the body to the name, the splash from a belated circumcision, a reminder, a grimace of some buried memory, the memory of a life that I had not known and which could not be mine. It was strange being the bearer of a memory that had not been accumulated in time, in experience, but given unknown to all. I felt the need to cure myself of myself, to unburden myself of my heavy solitude, which was like a wall receiving the complaints and cries of an abandoned horde, a mosque in the desert where people come at evening to lay down their sorrow and offer up a little of their blood. A quiet voice split the wall and told me that a dream can paralyze the morning stars. I looked at the sky and saw nothing but a white line traced with a perfect hand. I ought to lay a few stones on this path and mark my solitude. That thin trickle of blood could only be a wound. My hand tried to stem the flow. I looked at my fingers, spread out, linked by a blob of that blood, and through them could see the garden, the motionless trees, and the sky broken by the highest branches. My heart hammered. Yet I had been expecting it. Several times I had observed my mother and some of my sisters insert or remove pieces of white material between their legs. My mother cut up old sheets into pieces and kept them in the corner of a cupboard. My sisters used them without saying a word. I noticed everything and waited for the day when I, too, would open that cupboard secretly and put 2 or 3 layers of material between my legs. I would become a thief. At night I would watch for the trickle of blood. I would then examine the bloodstains on the material. That was the wound, a betrayal. My chest was still prevented from swelling. I imagined breasts growing inward, making breathing difficult, but I had no breasts. That was one problem less. After the blood began, I was brought back to myself in the lines on my hand that destiny had drawn. The Saturday gate closes on a great silence. With relief, Ahmed passed through that door. He realized that his life was now a matter of keeping up appearances. It was no longer his father's will. It was his will.